The framers of the Indian Constitution abolished the practice of untouchability in the hope that it would serve to erase the caste bias inherent in Indian society. More than 50 years on, however, even as the rest of India moves on to cutting edge technology and economic power status, the Bhangis in Gujarat, the Pakhis in Andhra Pradesh, the Sikaliyas in Tamil Nadu continue to carry other people's filth on their heads and are perceived as untouchables. Manual scavenging owes its origin to lack of sanitation and waste disposal mechanisms. Given the high levels of stigma attached to the handling of such waste, it meant that their disposal was relegated to the people belonging to the lowest strata of the society. The marginalization effectively meant that the person who was born in this community was relegated for life to carry out the same menial and humiliating tasks which were performed by his forefathers. Even to this day, 16 years after the law banning manual scavenging was passed, Dalits are being employed in this demeaning job. Not only are they socially ostracized, but the pathetic conditions under which they work make them susceptible to many physical ailments. The government, on its part, has been in a constant denial mode. In fact, in Gujarat, which claims to be a manual scavenging free state, close to 61,000 people are still involved in this degrading activity. Manual scavenging, unfortunately, is being passed down by generation to generation. The task has been performed by a particular caste, the Balmikis, for centuries. Generations after generation, they are often forced to do this demeaning job with little other source of income and an existence mainly on subsistence. The few Balmikis who tried to disassociate themselves from scavenging and venture out into society were hardly accepted at all. Forcibly, they had to return to this job to support their families, to support their children. As part of our SCEB field trip, we visited Mirzapur and Shahapur areas of Ahmedabad to find out how grave the problem of manual scavenging is. The results were much worse than what we had anticipated. The public toilets are in a state of utter dilapidation. Some of the toilets have their doors broken. The public toilets are not open during night, forcing people to defecate in the open. The locals complained that they could not use the toilets after dusk because the stench was unbearable. The contractors hired to clean the toilets hardly came up, and when they did, they hardly did a proper cleaning. We saw long queues of people standing outside the toilets waiting for the residents complained that the Safai Karmacharis did not perform their duties and slacked off. Who is to blame for this? We had the opportunity to speak to a few of these manual scavengers. Our conversation with them also brought to fore the lowly treatment that they had to face on a day-to-day basis. There were tales of how people avoided touching them, how shopkeepers dropped food on their plates. They were treated like dogs, a person complained. And for all this inhuman treatment, they managed to earn a meager 50-80 rupees a day. They suffered from venereal diseases, frequently because of constant contact with human fecal matter. The government did little to protect them from the disease. What we concluded from our field trip was that the question arises as to why a society that is based on equality could get away with such an inhuman and indiscriminate marginalization of some of its members? The answer, perhaps, lies in the underlying model on which our society is based. But what happens if a particular member of society refuses to discharge the responsibilities assigned to him? Perhaps the answer here lies in the constraints imposed by the society that made it extremely difficult for erring members to challenge its will. To end it off, the problem of manual scavenging is something that needs to be tackled at infrastructural as well as a social level. The people who are involved in such activities are also fellow humans, and that must be understood by the society around them. We leave you with these thoughts. What none of us would do for even a second, a million do it every single day. For none can be this a career and life of choice. But if they have no choice, is it because the governments don't care? Or is it because we don't care? To care or not to care is our choice. Our choice is to give them voice.